Dun 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 dun. Wendell, Will Wheaton has it right. AT&T, there's their offices at 666 right here. Let me put on the screen there. This is why I follow Will Wheaton on Twitter. Absolutely. How's it going, Wendell?
I would totally agree with that.
Following Will Wheaton.
666 Satan Avenue, is that where it is?
I'm not sure. Let me take a look here. If you can, you can't tell what it's on. I think it's 666 Mark of the Beast Satan Avenue, something like that.
Awesome.
Everything's going to sound a little different today because I'm using the Antlion Mod Mic version 2.3 because 2.3 has a more full microphone. The other ones are noise canceling. This one is not noise canceling because I'm pretty much all noise and we don't want to cancel me now, do we? Microsoft has launched their Office Online services. And they've got a brand new Office.com. It looks very, I don't know, very bubbly, I suppose. I don't know. It's their answer to what Google's been doing for a long time and what some of the other companies have been doing for a long time. Does OpenOffice have like online documents? I haven't used it in a while.
I think that Google, the Google sort of online Ajax thing is more the kind of thing that people use. I don't think that OpenOffice has that, but yeah, I would not swear to that.
Okay, well, let's talk for a minute here about one of the Windows, I guess one of the Windows 8 GUI designers. What do you call those guys? UX designers or something?
UI architect.
Okay, yeah, he's one of the UI architects, and I believe he's from London. Anyway, he came out and he said that he actually said that the Metro interface or the modern interface is the antithesis of a power user. That's kind of a strange way to put it. But anyway, he went on to Reddit and commented, and let me bring up the Reddit article. That's more interesting than this article here. So it's kind of interesting what he's saying. He's saying that they were trying to create something that was sort of the best for both worlds, like the desktop and the Metro interface, because before they kind of have to dumb things down for the lowest common denominator, and they separate everything into two categories. There are content creators and there are content consumers. So what they did with Metro or the modern interface or whatever the hell you want to call it is they decided to create that specifically for content consumers and forget about content creators or any of the power users out there. And the reason they did that was, they said they really wanted something that would appeal to the masses. And I can, whatever, I can see why they're doing that. And then they said that, hey, we've got the desktop here as well. So he went through and he kind of trashed it. And he said, listen, it's an experiment. We're, making things better. And he said that he thinks that in a few years, everything's going to be hunky-dory. Did I just say hunky-dory? Do people even say that anymore? Hunky-dory?
You said that in relation to the Metro interface, which is an
okay.
aberration that, I mean... If ever there was a horseman of the apocalypse, it's the Metro interface.
So basically, he's really gone in and kind of justified their decision to create a separate interface just for content consumers and people who do not need power, power and that sort of thing. And then he also reiterates that this is a talk, not a tick. Whereas the tick is like, where all the new stuff comes. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is a tick and not a talk. Like the ticks are like they release all their new ideas, and throughout history there's always been like the sucky versions of Windows, like Windows ME and then Windows Vista, and then Windows 7's good, but Windows 8 sucks, and that's because they're ticks. They introduce all kinds of new features, and then in the next version, like from Vista to Windows 7, they fix everything.
Well, technically Windows XP was Windows 2000.1 ...
Well, that Windows XP and 2000 are kind of strange because they were both really good and they were back to back. But wasn't there like was ME in between those or was it after? I forget.
XP when it first came out was a pretty bad turd, but they got it fixed.
Yeah, Service Pack, I believe 1 and 2 were absolutely necessary. Service Pack 2 that made it a very good operating system. Anyway, I wanted to highlight this comment right here because I think this pretty much sums up the entire thing. This I'm not going to read all of it because it's it's profane, man. It's kind of crazy, but you guys should go and read this if you care at all about where Microsoft is in the world. It's bigger than just the user interface design and Windows 8. And he says that It sounds like the ex facto justification. What you're basically saying is that you pissed all over your core users because you wanted to make it easier for daft people to look at pictures of cats. And then he also said that Microsoft, to him, looks like a paranoid chicken. And that's what I wanted to talk about, because Microsoft keeps going in all these different directions. They're like, oh, we're going to do games for Windows Live, or oh, we're going to do this new modern interface. And it's the best thing ever until it's not. You know, they come out with, what is that? Fire alarm? What's going on, Wendell?
No, hang on. My UPS is letting me know that its batteries are now made out of Jell-O.
What's really interesting to me about all this is that this guy is spot on. Microsoft keeps coming out with these things that they think are going to revolutionize the world. And I'll go ahead and name off some of the few that he named here. Xbox for Windows, developing games with X and A, nope. And then we've got the Windows Phone SDK. Oh, wait, there's no SDK for the phones. Hey, here's Metro. And then there's several other examples like Silverlight and games for Windows and just all that nonsense. And they're touting this as if it's the solution. And they're saying, hey, in the future, we're going to look back on this and realize we made the right decision by separating our user group into two categories and then giving one thing and giving one the other thing. I don't know. It does seem like they're just doing all kinds of random things and then scrapping them, as opposed to maybe they should just listen to their core user base. I feel like a lot of times they shun their core user base because they want to be like other companies out there, and I don't even know what they're doing anymore, Wendell.
I'm not sure if it was broadcast, but I think that we had this conversation years ago. But it's nice to see confirmation actually from Microsoft, because if I recall, that conversation was something along the lines of, well, the success of the iPad and a lot of Apple devices is really around content consumption, and the Apple has focused on the user experience and architecture of consumption. And I think Bill Gates had a speech where he pointed out that, Windows was about content creation as much as it was about consumption. And it was really interesting to see this guy talk about how Metro was built for consumption rather than creation. But, interestingly, with the last Apple iOS 7 update, they added a lot of content creation features to it, like with the movie thing, and, you could make movies and rearrange them and cut them and do editing. And Microsoft is doing with the Surface, believe it or not, is doing some of like the GarageBand type stuff with its neat touch interface, because GarageBand has always been really popular on the Apple side of things. And so it's not entirely, cut and dried content creation, content consumption, but content creation and content consumption are sort of the two paradigms. So this guy's saying, well, Metro is about consumption and Windows is about creation, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a schizophrenic experience, and this is not something that is sane and useful for an end user.
Even then, I feel like on another note, they're creating these applications like the one that's supposed to rival GarageBand or whatever. Their creation apps, if you will. They're creating them for daft people. They're not made for power users, and they're still removing a lot of the features that they put into past operating systems that were specifically for power users, because they don't want them to get in the way, and they want to make sure that all the idiots can just get in there and do whatever they want. It's all for the masses. And that's the big problem there. They've alienated a lot of their core audience. A lot of people are going over to Linux, which I think is very good. If we can get more of the developers also to start making things for Linux, we've already got Steam OS, going on. We've got Steam, in Ubuntu, Debian, and so that's a very good thing. Now what we need is like Adobe and some of the other application makers to start creating their applications for Linux, and then we won't have to worry about this anymore. Well, all the power users can just go over to Linux. Windows can be its bubbly nonsense. Apple can have their they have a lot of content creation going on with Apple, because a lot of people do their photo editing and that sort of thing on it, but their mobile devices are specifically for content creation, and they've always kind of kept a barrier between the two. OS 10 does not look like the Metro interface. It does not look like their iOS interface. There's some elements of it that are shared, but it is still a desktop environment, and they understand this. That's something that Microsoft really didn't do right.
I think that's true, especially with the separation between desktop and mobile. But I also think that Apple has really neglected a lot of their really hardcore content creators as well, because it's like 5 years between Mac Pros, and the new Mac Pro is pretty much new everything. If you want to run an old Mac Pro with a bunch of external hard drives, a new Mac Pro with a bunch of external hard drives and all that, and the software. I think with Final Cut, somebody I know that does a bunch of video stuff was complaining about how new versions of Final Cut were really, really sort of nerfed. And Apple has nerfed a lot of things, I think, on the desktop. Even though it's got the cool Unix underbelly, I think that they've nerfed things on the desktop. But there is still that separation.
That's true as well. I can't deal with, I actually have an Apple, a G4 from a long time ago, back in the Final Cut 1 and 2 days, that I thought was a pretty good machine. But basically it was a tool for Final Cut, because at that point in time, Final Cut was light years ahead of Adobe Premiere, but now it's the other way around. They have really dumbed it down. We just need everything to go to Linux. That's where I'm going to end this thing.
Linux would be amazing.
Let's take a look at this. This is kind of funny. Internet trolls. In a study of internet trolls, they found out that in real life they are actually still jackasses. The University of Manitoba did a study, and they found that people who were, the biggest trolls online in real life tended to be narcissists, tended to be somewhat psychopathic, sadist, and they also tended to have Machiavellian tendencies. What do you think of this?
I think this is spot on, completely accurate. There are, if they're not a little Napoleon running their local homeowners association, they're, on the internet trying to be Napoleon on some forum somewhere. Completely true.
Our biggest argument that I can already hear for this is like, guys, shut up. Come on. Calm down. Everybody goes on the internet and says ridiculous, asinine things, or bothers people, or tries to piss people off, or posts facetious comments, or talks about how ignorant or ugly or stupid somebody is. And I'm here to say that no, I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of people who are cordial, know how to have a good argument, and they know how to do so in person, and they also know how to do so on the web. And we do see a lot of really constructive, good arguments. In our comments, there's also a lot of trolls on there, but we see it on the website and that sort of thing. And I've always thought that people that are jackasses online are the type of people that are going to be idiots in real life. And if you're an idiot online, I do not want to hang out with you. In fact, if I see you in person, I'll be more than likely, it'd be nice to see you in person, because then I won't have to worry about wanting to uppercut you. I can just do it. Anyway, take a look at our sponsor, Squarespace. And I want to say thanks to Squarespace, because I've been getting a lot of email feedback from you guys, and I've received no negative feedback thus far. So that's really cool. And, everything looks good. So we're going to continue to work with Squarespace. I like what they do. They give you guys all the tools you need to build your website, and it's all about putting the content first. So let's go ahead and, just take a quick tour here of some of the new features. Now, they've added shops, so that now is e-commerce. You can go on here and create your own shop. You just come in, and it's really easy. You pick your template, and then just fill it with your content, and you don't have to really worry about getting, too into it unless you really want to. If you want to get into it, you can. Stuff for photographers, bloggers, artists, pretty much everything you need, restaurants. I want to show you this one, musicians, because with musicians, it'll integrate right into Bandcamp. So you can either sell your stuff right on here, or you can just have your Bandcamp playlist, similar to this. Let me go ahead and click on music. Have your Bandcamp playlist embedded right here. And whenever you're ready to buy, click buy, and it takes you over to Bandcamp. Again, you guys have a ton of templates to start with, and I want to mention that these are just starting points. You can take them, fill them in with content, leave them as is, or you can get really nerdy with it. There's lots of editors. They've added this logo editor where you can go in and create your own logos. That stands for big time stuff. And here's what I really wanted to mention, Developer Center. A lot of you guys are going to love this. You guys have full control over the back end. Get access, everything you need to come in and really take control of those templates. All the features here listed, you guys can see them. And there's even a mobile app. So they're really doing a lot of different things. Last but not least, workshops. Just giving you guys some pointers, some help with your website. If you guys want to learn, you can come here and do that. If you guys want to save a little bit of money when you guys sign up for Squarespace, just click on the screen and be sure to enter the code TechSyndicate2. That's for the month of February. We'll be using TechSyndicate 2, and after February, it'll likely be TechSyndicate 3. Squarespace knows that we have a lot of developers and a lot of talented designers in our audience, so they told us to pass this along. They're hiring, and they're hiring in New York City. They're down in Soho. What they're going to do is, they'll take a look at your resume and some of your, samples, and if they like it, they'll fly you up there so you can experience New York City. Now, they're down in Soho, so I would recommend looking out for Kane. He could be anywhere in that part of town. Also, you're right there in Chinatown. A lot of fun. You guys can go buy an awesome jacket like the ones I have. I happen to buy mine down there. Anyway, if you're looking for a really awesome job in a cool part of town, be sure to check out beapartofit.squarespace.com, and you guys might be on your way to New York for a really awesome job interview, and that's going to be going on until the middle of March, so best of luck. And now back to the tech. You sexy beasts. Let's move on here. Speaking of ass hats, don't be a glass hole. Have you heard the term glass hole yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that in an article a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, wow, that's actually pretty clever.
This is an interesting article here on the New York Times. Just some very basic principles on how not to be a glasshole, because apparently there's this whole new what's the word I'm looking here for? People are acting different when they put on glass. You know, they randomly stop in mid-stride and look up so they can read a message or a text message. They sit in the corner of a bar and strangely stare at people. I can't even imagine what someone would do if they wore these to the beach.
I think I saw an episode of Doctor Who that was like this.
You know, I was talking to Kane earlier, and he has Google Glass, of course, and everyone out there is doing reviews and doing like their little hipster things with the Google Glass or whatever, making videos and talking about how it's the future, and I think that's pretty much covered. And what I think we should do is make a video tutorial on how not to be a glasshole. And I want some ideas from you guys, like what are some things that would really piss you off, and you know, like just let us know in the comments, preferably, let me say that again, on our website. I'll go over there and take a look at them, and we will make a video, you know, sort of a show and tell of how not to use Google Glass, and then give you guys some, you know, pointers on how to be courteous with your Google Glass, because the future is all going to be about, I believe, wearable computing. So this is the first step, but there's going to be a lot of other devices that we're going to be wearing. We're going to have cameras mounted on our bodies, so we need to learn how to conduct ourselves possibly differently so that we're not glassholes. All right, moving right along. What else do we have next here? Oh yeah, let's talk about net neutrality just a little bit. Net neutrality, of course, you know, Verizon won the case in Washington, D.C. Now basically they have control over what they do. They do not have to abide by the rules of net neutrality, and there hasn't been too many signs, so say some educated people, that Verizon is, you know, disobeying the laws of net neutrality, but everyone was kind of waiting. We all kind of sat back and they were like, okay, well, what's the FCC going to do? Now, the FCC, they can recategorize ISPs as common carriers, and that would give them jurisdiction where they could, you know, reapply the rules of net neutrality. They could possibly go in and broaden some terms, but what they've done really is kind of sit back and say a few things vaguely like, well, we're going to look at this. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're not going to really do anything specific at this point in time. But right now they're just saying that they're going to look at it. But they did say, hey, we can go in and reclassify this. They said that. What's the guy's name? Wheeler, is that his name? Yeah, Wheeler's the chair right now. He did say, hey, we can go in and reclassify this, but they don't want to have to do that. Right now they're kind of trusting the ISPs to be good stewards, and they're like, hey, guys, play nice, okay? And one thing that I wanted to point out here is that they did, and this is a good thing, they did say they would start looking at some of the states that have pretty much made it illegal for local municipalities to you know, have votes to improve the local internet, or you know, like try to improve their own local internet. There are a lot of states that have completely disallowed them from, you know, improving that, saying that it should be the responsibility of the major ISPs and the local municipalities should stay out of it. So Wheeler did say he would take a look at that, but I haven't seen anything positive come out of this just yet, other than some lip service. What about you, Wendell?
Well, the municipal situation is,
it's pretty deep.
It's a deep issue, and on the surface, they want it to be represented meaning that the incumbent powers, whether that be a cable company or ISP or whatever, the incumbent powers want this to be represented as, we worked hard to build our business. We didn't get any help. We are completely independent. We spent a bunch of money. We did all this stuff, and you know, we own the infrastructure. We are the last mile. This is our business that you're threatening. Because if you have, you know, 2 cable television providers in one area that are sharing poles, and you've got redundant infrastructure where they each maintain their own infrastructure, it's entirely possible that neither one of them could make any money, even if they had a 50-50 split, because the cost of maintaining the infrastructure with only half of the available subscribers, you wouldn't make any money. That is an entirely possible situation. So that's not unreasonable. But what is unreasonable is sort of holding those customers captive. And so clearly, with the profit margins and infrastructure costs and things like that, it is possible for companies like Google to roll out fiber, and not necessarily fiber that is completely funded with taxpayer dollars, but the municipal organization can, you know, sort of help them a little bit. Like, they can waive permit fees and things like that that are meant to cover administrative overhead anyway. Because, you know, if the permit fee is like $100 and a company normally has like 4 permits they have to file for a construction project, and you have Google, who's going to move into a town, and they're going to have thousands of permits that they have to get in order to run things from here to there. Well, obviously the administrative overhead is not suddenly $400,000. Bob is going to handle all those requests, and so you don't have to pay quite that much for those. So
right.
it is a little give and take, and the incumbent companies want a hard and fast, no outside help, but these people ought to be able to do it on their own. And so of course that threatens the profitability of that. But I'm really disappointed that they didn't take a more sort of proactive thing here, because what they've really got to do is find out what the costs are for maintaining the infrastructure, how many subscribers they have in an area, how oversold they are, and really look at it to understand if the customers are being abused or not. Because you can make some profit. That's capitalism. But it's sort of broken when you've got a captive audience and you're going to squeeze as much money from them as possible.
Wendell, speaking of all this, have you seen the time?
Oh no, it's Rant 30.
It's Rant 30. And, you were just talking about overselling, and there's not a lot of people out there talking about this. In fact, there's an article right here on BGR, and they kind of miss it. They go in the right direction, but everyone's trying to explain why Netflix and YouTube and similar services, Twitch, are stuttering. They seem slow lately. They're laggy. They're choppy. What's wrong with it? Well, here in the BGR article, they blame the whole argument over who should pay for the traffic. It all goes through Cogent, and like let's say you have Time Warner or Comcast. Well, or if the traffic goes through Cogent, somebody's got to pay Cogent for all that traffic that they're taking care of. And Cogent there's all these networks all over the country, and we're not going to get into all that. But it crosses from one network to the other, and usually there's it's called peering, and usually they just it's like a give and take. Hey, we routed some traffic through your area, you routed some traffic through my area, and at the end of the month, I owe you $10 or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But right now, so much of the traffic is going to Netflix that Time Warner and Comcast are saying, well, hey, we should get money from Netflix because they're using up all this bandwidth and that sort of thing. Then we have to pay Cogent. But I think it's a little bit deeper than that, and deeper than what we've even talked about before. So Wendell, I'm going to let you take it away, and we're going to do a separate video on this that kind of says it more succinctly. But right now we're going to kind of chat about this for a few minutes. So go ahead and take this away, Wendell.
The problem is that Netflix ISP Cogent wants to be paid for access to their network on the level of traffic that ISPs like Time Warner and Comcast and many other ISPs use. And Comcast and Time Warner and other ISPs want to be paid to upgrade their connectivity. The root problem is that these ISPs have gotten so large and so crass that they honestly believe that their customer is a commodity that can be leveraged. It's like you as an internet subscriber to Time Warner or Comcast or whatever your ISP is, are paying for an internet connection. That's two big pieces. One, it's called the last mile infrastructure. That's the wire from your house to your provider. And then the other part of that is the actual internet connection. Because Time Warner and Comcast, they are not the internet. They're just the gateway to the internet. And so they're going, if Netflix is a really popular thing, then there's going to be a lot of traffic to Netflix. Cogent just happens to be Netflix's ISP. And so these providers need better connectivity to Cogent because most of their customer base wants to go there on the internet. They're not willing to pay for that. You pay for an internet connection, but they're not willing to pay for an upgrade to the internet connection because their subscribers, you guys, is like, oh, you got, Cogent should pay for your access. Well, that's not how it works. It's never worked that way. And trying to make the argument about how Netflix is using so much more bandwidth than it ever has misses the issue. And that is that these ISPs are selling you a certain amount of service, 20 meg, 50 meg, 100 meg, whatever it is. And the reality that to watch Netflix, to watch a movie while you're watching the movie is at most 8 megabit for a full 1080p HD stream. 8 megabit. And so these ISPs are saying, well, we can't manage 8 megs of connectivity to Cogent. We're not going to pay for that.
Even though you're already paying for 50 or 20 or whatever your ISP is telling you you're paying for. You're already paying for it, but they don't want to give you the 8 megabits through Cogent.
So they're not throttling Netflix, but they are managing their network so badly that they can't manage the level of connectivity to the internet that their customer base demands.
Well, that's the interesting thing here is everyone keeps saying that they're throttling, and it's a lot. Well, on their part, it's almost more clever than that. You know, it's like, hey, we found a way to make this suck, and we can still look like we're doing our job at the same exact time. And then we have people like Verizon who come out and they clearly, you know, do not get the big picture, but they come out and then they approach Netflix and they're like, hey, Netflix, if you want access to our customers, give us some extra money and we'll make sure you have a better route to our customers. What? They what?
Now, the interesting thing about Netflix is a really interesting kind of traffic, and we'll get more into this in the video, but it's just static video content. It's not, it's really not anything like dynamic traffic. It's not dynamically generated. It's just a huge static repository. Netflix, if you're an ISP, will actually give you a box that has like the top 70% of all of the stuff that they use. And so these ISPs are saying, oh, this is about money. We don't want to pay extra because all of our customers are using all this connectivity to Cogent, and we don't want to pay extra for that because we pay them for some, but we, you know, not as much as our customers are demanding. We don't want to pay any extra. So Netflix says to these ISPs like Verizon and Time Warner and Comcast, all right, here's a box that has the top 70% of all movies ever. And if you put that in, your traffic doesn't even hit the internet. So when you want to stream something off Netflix, it hits the internet to make sure your account is okay and you're paid up. And then the movie actually comes from a box inside your ISP. You can call that a caching server. You can call that, you know, a peering server, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is that traffic doesn't go over Cogent. These boxes have been refused by the ISPs. That would eliminate their costs. There would be no transit cost if they took one of these boxes to cache the traffic. But they refuse. Why? Well, it's not an incentive for them to improve your Netflix experience because they have competing services, and that is the problem. If it were really about money, like they say it is, they would take the box. But since they don't take the box, that is evidence that they are misleading and being deceptive.
And the other thing that's interesting here is that the traffic that you are getting, if you're going, you know, to Netflix, it's all going through and they're routing it the way that they want to route it. So here's the way I solved it. I signed up for a VPN, and we can actually link in the description the VPN that I signed up for. And so now what happens is my traffic no longer has to worry about whatever Time Warner wants. I am connecting to a VPN server somewhere else, like wherever the VPN server is, and there's several different VPN servers. And then from there, that becomes my point at which I connect to the internet. So I am completely bypassing, I'm on Comcast, I'm completely bypassing whatever Comcast wants my traffic to do. And my traffic is now free to go straight to the source the fastest way it possibly can without having to deal with Comcast nonsense. And the other beautiful thing is, now Comcast cannot do deep packet inspection. They have no idea what I'm doing. All they see is just traffic coming this way. And doing that has solved completely all of my problems as far as Netflix stuttering. House of Cards was completely silky smooth all the time. It solved all the problems with YouTube videos, now 1080p, 1440p, and with videos that are available all day long without any problems. Twitch is completely fast. I've noticed a couple anomalies, like I had to reload Twitch a couple times to make the chat pop up, but it's basically you're just not going on the congested servers anymore. You're using a VPN, and it's just beautiful.
It's not even that the
traffic.
servers are congested; it's that the route is congested. So, like Netflix and like Comcast is sending you through this congested link on purpose. Probably.
Probably. We can't say that without getting in trouble, but it seems like they are completely aware that the path is congested, and they're like, they just keep throwing people in line because to them that's how you get to Netflix. You just go through this massive congestion of other traffic. Just go through there. Yeah, it's in there. Figure it out. Yeah. So
it's like the I-95 is bumper to bumper as far as the eye can see, and you're you can take the I-295 around, which is an extra 30 miles or an extra 50 miles or whatever it is. But because you can do 60 miles an hour on that longer route versus 1 mile an hour on the shorter route, you have a better Netflix experience. And that's really the long and short of it.
And that's pretty much what's happening with the VPN. The VPN's like, oh, 295 is empty. See you suckers later, and it drives right around and gets to the content and then streams perfectly, flawlessly.
Meanwhile, your ISP that you're paying for this connectivity is building an 8-lane superhighway to the Alaskan wilderness.
Where they're going to put Comcast flicks Like, hey, look at all this, guys. Comcast Flix. All right. What else is? Oh, yeah, Google Fiber is thinking about expanding, and they've listed a whole bunch of cities that they may be going to. Here's the map right here, as you guys can see. So what they're doing is they're asking all these cities, hey, give us, give us access to your stuff. Give us access to your poles. Tell us what you've got as far as infrastructure that's already in place, and tell us what we can have, and then we'll consider coming to your city. So there you can see all the different cities on the screen. If you're, in one of the highlighted areas, you're probably doing a cartwheel right now. I think it's kind of interesting that Greenville, South Carolina, went through the trouble of doing this. Check that out. They organized a ton of people, gave them different, I guess they're like glow sticks or whatever. I'm not sure what they are. Those things that they're swinging around. This is just wearefeelinglucky.com. And, they've got the word Google here spelled out. This took a lot of time to organize. They really want Google Fiber. And that tells me that communities like Greenville's a pretty progressive, especially when you consider the rest of South Carolina. In my opinion, I think Greenville's one of the most progressive little artistic cities. A lot of good beer there as well, which I'm not sure how that goes together with anything. I just like beer. Anyway, I think it's interesting that the amount of effort that went into doing this just to get Google's attention. Why can't they just use, all those resources? Obviously, they really want high-speed internet. Why can't they just use all those resources to create their own alternative ISP or create like a small government grant for Greenville to give out to any Greenville company willing to run fiber? Why can't they do that, Wendell?
Oh, government grant? No, that's illegal now. The incumbent carriers have made it illegal because it's fair competition that no one helped them.
It's fair competition that there is no competition? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying.
So they need someone like Google to come in there. Unfortunately, 20 states around right now have made it pretty much illegal for local ISPs to do what the big ISPs should be doing as per the 1996 Telecommunications Act.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's like, oh, we want to upgrade the infrastructure? No. Louisville here, the mayor asked for companies to submit proposals for doing a gigabit metro rollout. And Time Warner actually responded to that with, we don't think people really want a faster connection. Honestly, really? I mean, the mayor of the city is saying, we think we need this. Can we get some proposals? Well, we don't think anybody really wants that.
Oh,
it's
God,
like, well,
push the wrong button. Yeah, let's move on here. Oh, here's that. Pardon me, the clap. 3 good ones. Still coughing. Damn, what happened to me?
Breathe.
Laughing too much. Yeah, here's that really funny article on Penny Arcade, or that really funny thing. You guys can read that. It's on the screen right now. I'm just going to move right along here. Netflix. Private internet access, that's what I'm using. There's a link for that in the description. And moving on to, I'm going to skip that article, and we'll move on to Samsung. Samsung, it's rumored, damn it.
I like the Arrow article.
Which one?
The one about Arrow.
Oh, where did that go? I think I actually, I think I accidentally forgot to open that one.
That one's Judge shuts down Arrow in Utah, Colorado.
All right, I'll bring that up. Yeah, they filed an injunction against it, right? Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Damn, I need more water. I'm out of water. I'm dying here. And my throat's really dry. All right. Next up, we've talked about Arrow a little bit. Arrow was in, I believe it was in New York, and the ISPs go crazy about this. Wendell, I'll let you get into this. For people who have never heard of Arrow, what is Arrow?
Okay, Arrow is a service where over the air, theoretically in America, one of the great things that makes America America is that you can get over-the-air, high-definition television broadcasts. Historically not high-definition, but you could get over-the-air television broadcasts. Arrow is a service where they will set up a teeny-tiny antenna and a teeny-tiny DVR that you can rent and record over-the-air broadcasts. So you're renting your own little antenna and your own DVR that you have private access to over the internet, much like as if you set up a DVR with an antenna at your house, but without all the work involved. And you can DVR record high-def shows from whatever cable networks are broadcast. And so there's a lot of cable networks that actually broadcast in America. You pretty much have to be in a metro area to get them, and you have to, not be in the shadow of a building and, things like that. But theoretically, you can get high-def TV for free over the air.
Yeah, so This was going on in New York. Let me go back to the different camera here. So this was going on in New York, and they were freaking out about it. But then it started up in in Utah, and there hasn't really been any. I guess they haven't really lost any court cases yet.
No.
There's been a lot of problems, but go ahead.
They were sued into oblivion in New York. And
didn't they win those cases?
They won all the cases.
They won. That's what it was. They won all the cases. They've been through a lot of hell, but they won the cases.
The reasoning is the thing at issue is, does this constitute a rebroadcast? Like, are you picking up something from the air and rebroadcasting it? Because way long time ago for cable television, much of the internet, or much of the U.S. the cable system was sort of rebroadcast, and for a long time that was free. But then there was a court case, and the people that are broadcasting said, well, no, this is really a retransmission. It's not the original transmission. That should be a fee. There should be a fee that can be levied by the networks that are broadcasting the signal in exchange for permission to rebroadcast. And Arrow doesn't technically rebroadcast because everybody has their own private, tiny little HD antenna with their own private tuner for receiving that signal, and so they're not rebroadcasting anything. And so, because of that technicality, in the New York districts at the Supreme Court of the not the United States Supreme Court, but the Supreme Courts in the northeastern part of the country said, yes, well, this technicality, it means that it is not a rebroadcast, and so Arrow is a perfectly legal, legit service. But in Utah, the judge there,
Dale Kimball,
he said, oh no, this is totally, basically almost exactly like a rebroadcast, and even though it's not, that's a technicality, and they meant for it to be like this type of thing could have rebroadcast fees. And it's
so he issued an injunction and pretty much shut them down until they have to go to the Supreme Court to settle this.
Yes, now it has to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to be dealt with. And so I think it's funny that the ruling is basically like, oh, that's a technicality, but what they meant was this. And it's like, technicalities is what this thing's built on. There's nothing better than being technically correct.
Dale Kimball, how much did you get paid by the broadcast cable companies? How much? Just tell me.
Pretty much.
All right, let's take a look at some hardware here. Actually, this is going to be some phone stuff. Samsung, there's a rumor that they're going to be using Tizen on the Galaxy Gear 2 smartwatch that's going to be coming out very soon. Tizen is an alternate operating system. It's not Android. It's their own thing that they've been working on with Intel. So why is this so different and shocking? Well, Samsung for a while has been wanting to distance themselves from Google and Android, the Android operating system. Samsung wants to be their own thing, and they want to have their own operating system. They want to be in total control. They've tried a million times to create their own app stores within the Android store, and every single time it's been kind of a terrible thing. But now they've got Tizen, and the first device it's going to be coming out on is one of their smartwatches. So I'm not really sure how I feel about them doing Tizen. I think it's totally their right to do, a separate operating system like this. And I think it may actually be good for the market to have different alternative operating systems and give you guys some choice. But I don't know. Is there anything I'm missing here with this?
I don't think that Samsung can be trusted with Tizen.
So I don't think Samsung can be trusted at all, but I mean, I think it's kind of cool that they're going to do, if they want to do something, I think they can do it, and then we can choose not to use it, How's that for an angle?
I have no sympathy for Samsung after having to deal with TouchWiz for the better part of 2 years.
You've got a personal vendetta against them for TouchWiz.
It's like, look, we made TouchWiz. It's amazing. It's better than Android. And it's like, can I make that choice for myself, please? Thanks.
No, you can just buy an Android phone that has like the most vanilla stock version of Android on it possible. Speaking of non-Android, the Ubuntu handsets are going to be available this year. I'm actually very curious about those. You going to try one of those out, or are you going to stick with Android? What do you think?
I would really like to get one. I mean, I've sort of changed here. I didn't think that this would be a thing, and I'm sort of coming around. I really like the idea of a phone where the phone hardware and the network hardware is completely separate from the phone interface and the operating system, so that there's basically like a little computer running in the phone, receiving the calls and dealing with the calls and the cellular network and all that, and then another computer that is the phone operating system that is, whatever. That's really cool, because all of a sudden the carrier can't mess with my phone remotely, and, they don't have like remote root access to my phone, and, just BS like that.
That's probably the reason that I'm going to be in line to get one. I don't really use phones all that much, so something like this really does appeal to me. I mean, it's open source. I want to see, you know, what sort of. I'm also kind of curious about the security and all that. I mean, this is obviously a hardware level. You know, what in the hell? Let me go check. That's weird. So yeah, I think I'll be in the market for one of those Ubuntu phones. I think. See what happens when it comes out. What's next on the menu, man? All right, the NSA. You know, we don't really have much to talk about as far as the NSA goes, but this is really funny. LibertyManiacs.com, they started producing T-shirts that use the actual NSA and the Department of Homeland Security logos. And the one T-shirt that cracks me up, it's the NSA, the only part of the government that actually listens. So they've got that here on a T-shirt. Anyway, the NSA and the Department of Homeland Security were like, hey, cease and desist immediately. And the first thing that the guy did, as soon as he got them, the guy who I forgot his name here, Dan McCall, I believe is his name. First thing he did was send both of those guys a lawsuit saying that, hey, it's my First Amendment right to use this stuff in parody. And a settlement was just released. A settlement was just reached. And I don't know the details of the settlement, but the NSA and the Department of Homeland Security did release statements that said, you know what, we looked at the law and, he's allowed to do this kind of thing and it's his First Amendment right to use our logos, and we do admit that this is parody. So that's where we got. So, you know what, let's have a little fun, Wendell. What do you say we make some NSA T-shirts?
I'm pretty sure that guy is going to be pulled over every time he travels out of state. Every time he flies, they're going to harass him because that's just what they do.
Another cavity search, but I just got a speeding ticket. That's exactly what's going to happen. Anyway, let's have a little fun here. I want to see some designs from you guys. You take the NSA logo, take the Department of Homeland Security logo, make some funny T-shirt designs, send them to me. And if I like it, and if we decide to use it in the store, I'll give you $100. How's that sound?
Yay.
You think we could do that? Actually, maybe we shouldn't do this.
It's just so, our government is so dysfunctional on so many levels.
I like a lot of these shirts. Is that Running Bull right there? Oh, it's Sitting Bull. I have the Trust the Government. Just a picture of Sitting Bull on there. These are great. Yeah, these are actually really funny shirts. Let's move right along there. Oh, I had it on the wrong thing. The Sitting Bull one is right here. Yeah. I don't even know how this website works. I think ours is probably better. Yeah. Oh, if you've got an ASUS router, be very careful. You may want to take a look at this article. I'm just going to mention it in passing, but there's a major security vulnerability, and they've been compromised. People can pretty much see everything you're doing. You have to completely disable FTP as soon as possible. And the AI cloud, do it immediately. Turn it freaking off. But if you've got an ASUS router and you're running, like DDWRT or something, which a lot of them can, you're probably secure in that because it's totally different firmware. I think you should be good. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but yeah, if you're running DDWRT, you should be all right.
There's actually an entire botnet around this type of vulnerability. There's also this type of vulnerability that just came out with a Linksys. If you get a Linksys router, you probably need to update your firmware there too.
And a Belkin.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yep. All right, we're getting into some hardware now. The GTX Titan Black Edition. Now this is finally a card that's going to be faster than the 780 Ti in pretty much every benchmark. Let me just roll down and look at some of the, I don't care about their canned spec or their benchmark things that don't tell me much. I want to see the specs down here in the bottom. CUDA cores, 2880 CUDA cores. Base clock is 889. That's probably so it doesn't melt, but I'm hoping it'll be able to overclock to around 1200 at least. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be kind of crazy. 6,144, so 6 gigabytes of GDDR5, and it's a 384-bit card. This is going to be a monster. Who wants to send us one for review? Who out there is going to do it? Is it going to be EVGA probably maybe, or is it going to be ASUS probably maybe? I don't know. We got to play with one of these.
It would be nice to play with one of these, but it's not that much faster. It ought to be more faster.
Yeah, it's the $1,000 thing. It's like you want the next 5%. Well, it's going to cost you twice as much. It's exactly that.
I want 4,000 CUDA cores. Damn it.
And I want to. Well, you can just get two of them, and you got $2,000 burning a hole in your pocket at all, maybe.
I want them on one card, and I don't want it to be hotter than the surface of the sun.
Maybe we could do like the 9800 GX2 style, where you have like two PCBs and the cooling unit in the middle. Remember those? I'm actually using one right now as a coaster.
Got a micro Freon coolant.
It's right there on the inside. Oh, this is really awesome. This ingenious touchscreen UI. I just want to mention this out. Matt Krins, it's his touchscreen UI. You guys should go over here and take a look at this video. I'm going to turn it down here. But essentially,
when car makers add touchscreen.
The problem with having all these devices in your car is that they require you to take your eyes off the road to operate them. Well, this one, it allows you to change like your radio or change the temperature. And it's a touchscreen, and it's very easy to use. You just put your hand on it. Like 2 fingers will be like the volume. 3 fingers will be like changing the temperature in the car, or whatever. And then 3 fingers will let you change or 4 fingers will let you change like the radio station. So it's a pretty ingenious interface that I can't believe nobody thought of yet. But I really want one of these in my car. Maybe I'll build something like that into the car. I don't know.
It seems cool. I would like to see it somewhere. The output is like on the windshield or something. Like you've got one line of text on the windshield. This kind of interface with something like that would be good, because then you don't have to take your eyes off the road at all.
Ooh, but you know what's going to happen if they do that? They're going to start pushing the technology, and then they're going to be like, let's give people email and books right on the windshield so they can... And I think studies have shown that even when you're paying attention to the road, if your mind is on other things like you're reading or something like that, or they found that you are more likely to get in an accident. Not a lot more likely. We're talking like a few percent, but there have been some studies somewhere that I'm not going to cite because I'm just spouting things right now. Let's move right along, shall we? Hamburg, Germany. In the next 20 years, they want to become a car-free city. This is really interesting. They really want to make cars completely go away, and they're going to do so by turning a lot of their major roadways into green spaces, putting in bicycle lanes, and working on just different ways for people to get around town. I think that's kind of interesting. And Hamburg is not a small city. It's a very, it's a large city with a huge metropolitan area and a lot of roads going in and out of it. If you're someone who's from Hamburg, first off, correct me on how to say Hamburg. I can't say it the way it's supposed to be said, but yeah, Hamburg, like a hamburger.
Hamburglar.
Yeah, the Hamburglers won't have to. There'll be no getaway cars for. What the hell are we talking about?
It would be amazing if they could pull this off. I think it's hopelessly optimistic.
Hey, but the Photoshop stuff looks pretty good here.
Are those houses in the middle of the road? Because no.
I think they're coffee shops and cheese shops or whatever the hell people want to put beside bicycle lanes.
Unless they build on top of the road, and then the road becomes a tunnel, or they have some sort of giant digging machine. This is not going to happen.
Yeah, it is nice to be optimistic, though. All right, what is this article about here? Oh, Nano Motors controlled inside living human cells for the first time ever. I guess we're talking about science now. Scientists at Penn State University, they've successfully controlled these tiny nanomotors inside living cells. So what I really want to do is talk about the future implications, because they've got these little motors. They get inside human cells, and then they can do things. They can change things. They can destroy cell walls. They can, break a hole in the membrane or whatever. And this could be a huge breakthrough as far as the healthcare industry goes. Imagine if they were able to just send a bunch of little nanobots into your system to infiltrate the cell walls of cancer cells, for instance, and then just break them down. And then the cancer just goes away.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
the first development of this will be some sort of genetic assassination thing that's funded by the CIA.
I was going to say that's probably true.
The Russians have polonium? No, we've got these nanomotors.
Release the nanomotors. Things of that nature will be said.
We can actually even do that from orbit. We could just sprinkle it over Moscow and it'll find its target.
Speaking of sinister and from orbit and things of that nature, the U.S. Navy, they're getting laser rifles on the decks. They're going to be massive, awesome laser guns they're going to be putting on the deck of a lot of their boats. And these laser guns are going to be designed to take down, incoming missiles or that sort of thing. They're going to be able to, blow boats out of the water, small, boats and that sort of thing. So they got lasers, and they're also working on rail guns. The only problem with rail guns is the fact that it requires like a power plant because the amount of electricity. They're like basically electromagnets that just launch stuff. They require so much energy that you're going to have to put a power plant on, like a battleship. I can't... I can't even imagine how dangerous it's going to be to have like a power plant just like driving around the ocean. We've got a nuclear power plant here, just driving around.
It's got 378 megawatt generators apparently, which I guess is okay.
Hey, but a railgun. If they could just figure out how they made the railgun in Quake, because that one's small enough that you can just carry it around. I mean, they don't have to have a giant, power supply for that or anything. They just use a handheld railgun. Make it happen, guys. Come on. They did it in Quake. You guys can do it. How much farther is Quake in the future? I guess we're space travel, Mars, and that kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Monkey brains. We're talking a lot about stuff that has implications in the medical or the bioengineering medical field type thing. I don't know. So monkey brain. That's a good name for a video game. A monkey brain was able to control a hand in the body of a different monkey. That sounds extremely convoluted. I'm doing a terrible job at explaining this. Let me break it down. So here's what happened.
Do you ever see that episode of Star Trek where they put the thing in Picard's neck and Dr. Crusher's neck and then stuff happened? It's that.
Yeah. Why couldn't I figure that out? Let me explain exactly what happened here. Ziv Williams at Harvard Medical School, that's in Boston, decided that he, pardon me, he wanted to, restore movement in like paralyzed people. So what he's done here is he's figured out how the brain controls certain body parts, and he's been able to test this by, I guess, installing electrodes inside a monkey's brain, and then he hooks everything up to another monkey that's asleep. I don't know what it is. They've got the monkey like put him under or whatever, and then one monkey is controlling a cursor on a screen. He thinks the other monkey's hand is holding a joystick, and when he thinks the other monkey's hand responds to what he's doing. And the next thing they want to do, as far as the testing goes, is they want to figure out how to get the one monkey's brain to do more complicated movements with the other monkey's body. Got any movie ideas for this?
I'm pretty sure that well is already run dry. It's like I'm pretty sure I saw a really terrible like sci-fi channel B-movie terrible thing where like the guy got a replacement hand from somewhere, but it was possessed and
that kind of stuff. Those movies. I mean, what about Being John Malkovich? How far away is that from this sort of thing? I don't remember Being John Malkovich, but I remember people getting into John Malkovich's brain. I don't know.
The first application of this probably is going to be like somebody who, has their hand or their arm or their leg maimed in something, and they have a transplant leg. Like the entire leg is a transplant, because we don't do that currently.
Yeah, but hopefully what they're saying is that they'll be able to restore movement in people who are paralyzed. They're trying to figure all that sort of thing out. So this could be interesting.
Yeah,
all right.
It'd be better if you fix your own stuff, but it will lead to transplants.
Which could be kind of interesting.
I would like to see it like it. The thing that we've really got to have here is the brain-computer interface. And, what would happen if, when figuring out the brain-computer interface, you figure out the software necessary to have consciousness? That would be neat.
You know where this is going to go in about 15 or 20 years? It's going to be mandatory that everyone has an implant in their head that, like some electrodes or something that influence the brain. And so, let's say like you're driving along and you've got one of these new cars that has the automatic shut-off feature where a cop can just press a button and your car will just stop. Well, you see where I'm going with this? You'll be walking along and they'll be like, stop that guy, and they'll press a button and you're just like, oh, I can't move anymore, damn it. Or they'll, make you do terrible things that you don't want to do and then frame you for it.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Or they'll be like, hey, let's just jump into this guy's head and make him kill someone we don't like.
Google even founded that whole other company that's dedicated to trying to figure out a way to copy a brain into the computer.
Isn't that headed up by Kurzweil?
Yep.
Yep, that's something to keep an eye on, everybody out there. All right, let's talk about the Next Particle Accelerator, CERN. They've got their very, very large LHC. I got it confused because the new one's going to be called the FCC, the Future Circular Collider. Now, this one is going to be huge, 100 kilometers, 100 kilometers long. So who knows what they're going to be able to, discover with 100 kilometers. That's going to be huge. It's going to cost a lot of money, $5.6 billion. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Way more than $5.6 billion. The LHC was $5.6 billion. So it's going to cost a lot of money. And it'll be finished in 2034, at which point we'll probably know everything in the universe. Who knows? Yeah.
It's exciting. I really hope it gets funded and is well supported because science.
Because science. Wait a minute. Another T-shirt idea. Because science. All right, let's talk about gaming. Now, the Wolfenstein pre-order is happening right now. Now, here's the cool thing about that is they're making a new Doom game, and they've unveiled that the new Doom game is not going to be called Doom 4. It's just going to be called Doom. And if you want beta access, you can pre-order the new Wolfenstein game. I kind of hate that they've done that. Like, they've now incentivized the pre-order of Wolfenstein with with beta access to Doom. I feel like that's kind of a dirty thing to do. I hate I kind of hate pre-orders in general. I think they're just bad because, I don't know, a lot of times crappy games get way more pre-orders than they deserve. Wolfenstein looks like it's going to be kind of fun. I don't know. But, I don't know. Incentivizing it with the Doom beta, I guess it's better than putting game-breaking weapons for people who pre-order into the game. I don't know. Do you have any feelings on this or just whatever?
I trust id Software, but
yeah.
I don't know that this is going to end well. I was really excited by Doom 3. When Doom 3 came out, everybody was like, this is okay. The engine and the improvements and things, I really liked it. I haven't pre-ordered this yet. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I will.
I really think the graphics engine had some stuff that we really don't see a lot. Remember curved edges? Yeah. There are still graphics engines that are coming out that do not support curved edges. And I'm not sure, I forgot how John Carmack did it. There was some algorithm he created to put together a few things, and it would make a true curved edge. We're not dealing with triangles or, like jagged edges anymore. And you don't see that in games. Where are our curved edges? I guess we need John Carmack to go from door to door and show everybody else how to do it. I don't know. The source code is even out for Doom, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the source code. The people can look at it. And,
I don't. Is it
too expensive
for Doom
yeah,
3?
for Doom. Yeah, I think it's out for Doom 3. I'm 80% sure, but somebody will correct us in the comments and call us a name and a slur. Yeah. If it's not.
It's interesting. I would love to play with it. There's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah. Speaking of hours in the day, I want to have to find some hours in the day to play Thief. It looks pretty interesting. I was a little worried at first. It looked a bit mainstream, and I didn't like the way they were doing their pre-orders again. That always worries me when they seem a little greedy with their pre-orders and their day one DLCs and that sort of thing. But I'm kind of excited for the latest Thief game. Their new trailer looks pretty good, and the in-game graphics do look really well, really like they're well done. And I'm also kind of excited for mantle support. So we're going to be trying that out with the R9290X, the one we have from Sapphire. It's the Tri-X edition with the awesome cooling unit, and it's overclocked to 1040. So we should be able to get some pretty good mantle benchmarks with this game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe, hopefully, better be. More PC gaming articles. Square Enix and Amazon, they're having a Thief Gold modding competition. It's kind of a cool thing. The Dark mod is also a really interesting mod. If you guys are dying to play Thief right now before it comes out, check out the Dark mod. Let's see, it's probably a PC. Oh, no, it's right here. The Dark mod is interesting. The Dark mod is an interesting mod because you download it, and then you have to download different missions. And anybody can go and make missions. So there's a lot of different people working on this. And there are some really good, fun missions. But it feels like the older Thief games, has much better graphics, and there's some really awesome missions for that. So check that out. What else is there? Wasteland 2 is in the final stretch of production, and I still don't have my beta key that I actually paid for because I got it on Kickstarter and I was guaranteed beta. Guys, where the hell is my beta key?
Oops.
Yeah.
That's been my experience with Kickstarter as well, and the various things I've Kickstartered.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the Kickstarter games are actually coming out now, and some of them are very good. Remember the game with Broken Age? That was the game from Double Fine Entertainment. that game's been getting really good reviews. I kind of want to play that. It's a good click adventure made by the same guys that made Monkey Island and Full Throttle and all those games. But the reviews are like 9 out of 10 and 8.5 and 9.5 out of 10 from all the different media outlets. I've yet to play that. I should play that. All right, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is another mod, and this one's for Spelunky. Spelunky is a game that's sort of it's the Metroidvania formula. You know, you run around in different caves, and everything's randomized. All the dungeons are randomized. Well, there's a mod out here, and what this mod does is it takes the Metroid music, takes Samus and a lot of the different power-ups, and throws it into the Spelunky universe. So now you can run around as Samus in all these different randomly generated dungeons, and get that old feeling. Not sure if it'll be quite the same as those amazing levels that they put together for like Super Metroid and that sort of thing. Those levels were so well done. I'm not sure if you can have that sort of an experience in a randomly generated world, but if you're really dying for the nostalgic feel and some of the awesome music from Metroid, you guys can play that. Yes. All right, pretty much everything. Thank you guys for checking out the music. It's doing really well still. I've got a few new songs I'm working on. And also the store here, we need to restock soon. Oh no, we're out of stock on the pint glasses, so I got to get some more of those. I'll order some more of those pronto. Let me just get that up on the screen there. There we go. And do we have an ETA for everybody on the new store? Not yet. A few weeks maybe.
The international was the thing that I forgot about. We've got to figure out what we're going to do for international shipments.
Oh, international orders.
Yes, that's the part that still remains.
All right. So as soon as we finish figuring out how to take care of international orders, because we're going to be using moving to a much smaller. Well, he's local there, right? In Kentucky, Wendell.
Basically, you guys will be able to order direct from us on the site. So
you won't have to deal with this month-long wait that seems to happen with district lines because there's a bunch of monkeys running things. I guess I don't know what's going on over there. So
right.
Yeah, just know if you guys are ordering from district lines. I haven't had anybody yet say that they didn't get their stuff, but sometimes it took 40 days, which kind of pisses me off. But
sorry about that. We're not even making any money on it anyway. But if you want to give us money, go subscribe. That is the best way.
Yeah. So thanks to all of our TechSport subscribers, and also the link to this one here on the screen right there to private internet access. If you guys click on the link to that, it's in the description. It helps us out. We get a couple bucks every time we refer somebody, so that's a really nice bonus for us. And we're also hopefully helping you guys get a much better internet experience, and kind of protecting yourself from any of the spying eyes out there. So it's all good, man. Anyway, also let me know how the Antlion mod mic sounds. I'm plugging it right into the motherboard, and that's kind of a crappy connection, but hopefully it has a decent sound. And if not, we'll switch back to this next week and be done with it. Yes, forever. No more Antlion mod mic. That's the end of the video. I will see you guys next week.